What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about Opendoor. I want to go over some of the data points, what's moving it, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Opendoor is down 4.1%, 711 the low, 761 the high. So you are seeing a lot of craziness in the broader market, but fairly low volume. So 96.5 million shares being traded, 164 is the average. So a lot of the fear that kind of started yesterday because of Powell and plus a lot of big companies unveiling the earnings, kind of showing some signs of cracking and subprime kind of credit quality. That's what's really affecting the broader market. At the same time, you do have a lot of names coming out today really saying that the market prematurely assumed too many cuts, which is kind of comical, right? This is no different than what Powell mentioned yesterday on how we are now neutral. Despite being neutral, you're seeing the market assume a cut for December still. So it is kind of comical on how that is, but still 72.8% likelihood of a 25 basis point cut. So in general, that would still be good for kind of the broader market and growth stocks, but still you're not seeing institutions feeling all warm and fuzzy, because even over the last 1 week, you did have $20.6 billion that left both crypto and equities to go back into money markets. And this is why I always bring up the volume. And we've kind of experienced like less and less volume lately. Even for instance, over the last couple of trading days, 96 million yesterday, 100 the day prior, 110 the day prior. So definitely a momentum stock needs a lot of capital to get in and really drive up the price higher. Opendoor right now, in my opinion, is a very big momentum play. Their upcoming earnings could change the market's mentality of that. So their earnings is slated for November the 6th after hours. And so 𝗂𝗧 surprisingly did post this 3 hours ago. I'm not sure why people aren't jumping all over this, because this kind of signals that there's more to it. So it does say, or 𝗂𝗧 says, so Opendoor's Q3 financial open house. I know he always says it should called an open house, but it's rather odd. But nonetheless, is November 6th at 2 p.m. We're doing things different. We're going to be doing a video instead of audio, so that's kind of going to be unique. And a live Q&A powered by Robinhood. And so we did see recently 𝗂𝗧 and Vlad, the CEO of Robinhood, follow each other on Twitter. So clearly there's something coming down the pipeline. And Vlad has really talked about tokenizing real assets. So there might be something coming down the pipeline between the two. So don't be surprised if that does happen. And if that does, then yeah, definitely Opendoor will get a lot of crazy attention and really push higher because of that. But unfortunately, you're not really seeing that much coming out from Eric. And for those of you that have been following a lot of my Opendoor videos, you know I don't really have that high of expectations of Eric. Even him posting about this is crazy. He loves to pick fights with a lot of people that have bigger kind of a following than Eric. And it's kind of funny, even when he comments about 𝗪𝗓, whenever 𝗪𝗓 kind of reposts it, like he gets 10-20 times the amount of actual comments, engagement than Eric, despite them kind of being somewhat level for followers. So I think Eric is just I will always say this, I think he is literally insane, and definitely he's trying too hard to be kind of the roaring kitty of Wall Street, find these innovative companies that are value plays and really push higher. But he is kind of just like a online, I don't want to say bully because he just does stupid things, but he's definitely not a roaring kitty whatsoever. So in general, I don't really see what he does being a good catalyst. A lot of people seem to be very big fans of him for whatever reason. Looks like he did post this as well recently, saying that he's going to be on 𝗖𝗎𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧, I think it is, or whatever else. So I think that's going to be on Monday. So he did say schedule mix up Monday, I'll be on. Last time he was on, I think it was whatever interview, he just ranted about any and all stock, like nothing really specific to Opendoor. So like I said, I don't really see him being a crazy catalyst, but what 𝗂𝗧 mentioned, that's definitely outside the box and very innovative. So I like that. Aside from that, shorts at the time doing this video are returning 1.18 million shares, 21.6% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 153.8 million shares overall being shorted. From what we can see, shorts were really starting to hit it hard first thing. So they were increasing 1.1 and then they kind of tapered off. So that's some common strategy that they typically do over the last little bit. They hit hard first and then they kind of just pull back. So again, kind of signals that big money is not really buying the dip as much as you would assume, which is kind of visible from here, as well as the dark pool on a side note. So big ones for the dark pool, 1.4, 1.2 million, and so dark pool is often enough used by shorts and other hedge funds. Looking at the options, we are seeing 14 million in calls, 7.6 in puts. 48% of all the options being done are bearish in nature. From a bull standpoint, you see consensus for it to be above roughly 750. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 7. With tomorrow being Friday, just take notice of this. This is all the open interest. You know, big ones, 40,000 at that 8, 79,000 at the 850. So you never know. You could see a nice push higher with a lot of big companies unveiling the earnings after hours today. So we have Apple, Amazon. So those are some of the big ones. And like I said, I don't know why this should be really pushing Opendoor's price higher, even though it was posted like 3 hours ago. I'm not sure why that didn't really do too much. I think that caused it to go from around 715 to 730, but still very, very small. With it right now at 733, looks like the market just closed roughly around 2 minutes ago. With it closing at 733, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. So 765 is going to be the next strong target / resistance, and then 507 is going to be a strong support. So kind of just watch for both of those. Aside from that, quickly popping over here, you see today it being pretty much right now below, looks like on the 50-day moving average. So that's sitting at 735. It is below that 10-day moving average. So last time that 50 was touched, it did cause that nice V-shaped recovery. So potentially with these companies putting out their earnings after hours, that could be really doing and prompting that V-shape recovery tomorrow. If not, you are going to see most likely a breakdown. Comparing today and yesterday's market position, which is right over here, you see a little bit more willing kind of sellers up until about that 775. But as I mentioned over the last couple of videos, I think people are just waiting. They don't really know what to do with Opendoor, and I said their earnings is going to be massive. That very, very big deal for Opendoor, really pushing it higher, potentially to, let's say, that 850 and above range, or potentially really breaking it down. So you have it's going to be very soon that we find out whether this is going to be a true innovative company or if it's just a pipe dream. Obviously, as I've indicated in the past, my videos, I'm not here to get you guys to buy, nor am I here to get you to sell. I'm just interpreting the data. And there's, I think, more than enough pumpers out there that will say, hey, you know what, this is going over $10 tomorrow, buy in now. I like to be somewhat level-headed, and in my opinion, I think I'm fairly realistic. I give you a quick overview of everything. Of course, I always like to be somewhat critical of any company that I do cover. So this is why I kind of bring up what I do with Opendoor, but it will literally come down to their earnings, whether we kind of break higher or lower, and will resurge and cause a lot more value investors to really get in. So we'll just have to wait and see how that does kind of play out. After hours, we're not seeing any change whatsoever. So I think just big money is holding their breath for companies putting out their earnings. So normally we've seen some price action since the market closed, but it looks like everyone is just waiting for Apple and Amazon. So let me know your thoughts on Opendoor. Are you buying? Are you selling? What are you doing with Opendoor? One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.